flyers. We're back for another session in our aerial hammock today. This session will be taking you into a few more advanced moves, more complex combinations of movement. We'll be still working through a progression that will build you safely into these movements, but know that you can choose to regress to anything prior or to self-modify if you feel you need. So today we're going to begin coming to find ourselves into our back lean. So if you'd like to position yourself directly underneath your plumb line, reaching up nice and tall. Hopefully you've been familiar with checking in with your grip strength, with your shoulder stability, and making sure that your upper limb is feeling ready for action today. Know that if you get any signs from your body through the practice of fatigue, that it's a really important time to pause and to wait until you feel more strong or stable in those areas. So today, as we find our back lean, we're going to rest into that area just underneath the lower angle of the scapula and feel the tension of the hammock supporting the thoracic spine. I'd like to invite you today to begin with a salutation practice, allowing the arms to rise into a point above your head. Perhaps you lift onto the balls of the feet to activate the back of the leg line. And from here we can take the arms into a nice wide T and find a bend into a chair posture. Push through the legs into the tension of the hammock and feel that light contact once again. And then exhale and return, reaching length through your collarbones. Push through the legs. Taper down the front ribs, a light contact, and release. If you'd like on this next variation to add in deeper thoracic extension, begin to engage through your glutes, taper down the front ribs and follow your gaze through your inner wrist. Bringing yourself gradually back to a diagonal, and this time moving through chair all the way into a forward leaning T, strong with the front deltoid of the shoulder, engaged with the core. As you release back, catch that rise of the arms. Perhaps you articulate all the way back into a gentle crescent moon, inhaling to return to your mountain peak, and exhaling, continuing to squeeze inner thighs together and reach long. Soften through the knees, a breath in, and exhale, engaging through the buttock. And returning all the way to forward leaning T. If you can stabilize here and feel strong in the abdominals, see if you can start to walk out through your heels. This articulation gets some warmth through the calves, really starts to prepare the feet. And you're becoming aware of that axial alignment through the spine. On your next exhale, we're going to look to lower down that right heel, pike our buttock behind, continue to float your shoulders, just hovering off the pillars of the hammock. So we're using the hammock now as a guide for alignment. Here you might like to slide that left toe tip back behind you. Check that the thigh and knee have rotated down to the floor, the throat's gently lifted, and we're going to look to float the heel to the height of the hip joint. As we curl and flex into our ostrich, we're lifting the low ribs in and up, and then reaching from crown to tail, pulling length through the spine. Exhaling to curl, imagine capturing a ball between ribs and thighs, and then inhale to expand the wings and stretch that back heel. One more time to curl. And this time as we descend the foot to the floor, we're finding ourselves into our awkward chair. Strong into the work of the legs, we're pushing the sitting bones slightly to the back of the ribs, to the back of the knees, and the lower ribs have tapered down. So notice here the hammock is hanging loose. It's just rested on my upper mid-back, and it's just helping me feel where my verticality is in relationship to the plumb line. As I roll back, I'm going to catch that support of the hammock. Take a breath in as I hit mountain peak. Exhale to move deeper into crescent moon. And then inhale, coming all the way back to mountain peak, traveling it into forward leaning T. Perhaps again you enjoy that walk out for the ankles. Getting some nice length through your Achilles, feeling broad across the ball of the foot from big toe to little toe. And then the next time your left heel comes down, Piking your buttock behind, feel that light engagement from the abdominal wall to be able to hover the shoulders lighter in the support of the hammock. And then we're going to let that toe tip slide back behind you. We're taking a little bend into your supporting knee if you need and floating that back heel to the height of your hip. From here, as you begin to exhale, we're curling thigh to ribs, tucking nose to belly, hugging the ribs in, and then reaching it long. Exhaling to curl, deepening that connection into your core, and inhale to reach it long. One more time, exhale to curl. And then placing the feet down to the ground, taking a bend into the knees and finding yourself into your awkward chair. Here you can test that the toes can lighten, the weight's into heel and midfoot, and the low ribs have tapered down. Reach from underneath the armpit toward the little finger side of the hand. And when you feel ready, roll it back. Take a breath in, reaching the fingertips high. And then as you exhale, hands coming onto the pillars, we'll take a bend into the knees and rise it all the way to stand. I invite you to find the hammock at a T. It'll nestle just across the back of your neckline. And we're going to look to rise up onto the balls of the feet. Catching your balance here requires pushing from the pelvis down into the legs. You might like to challenge now by snapping your fingers and thumb together, a scissoring action on the hammock, and then seeing if you can bring the hammock to slack as you reach those fingertips tall, tapering down the front ribs, pushing down through the legs, and then soften the heels. Let the hammock travel over your head. It's going to form a wrap around your wrist, and we can sandwich the inner elbows together into our mule pose. Here, as we allow for a gentle rock forward, the extension is coming deeper into the upper back with the assistance of our position and gravity. And then ease it back. Take it just as far as it feels good. We're maintaining contact with the feet on the floor. The rocking forward is just facilitating extending more actively into that upper back. And then as you release, push down into the hammock to roll up. Gradually rise the hands slightly so there's slack. You can turn your palms up toward the ceiling and release them down, letting the arms rise. And on your exhale, forming your push grip, we're going to press nice and wide and come immediately into our front belt today. So nestling the hammock down across the front of the pelvis, we're taking 3 to 4 large steps forward, and you might increase that with another 3 to 4 little baby steps until you've got your feet directly under your pelvis. Today, as we find ourselves into this right angle position, notice that the knees are tracking over the toes, the quadriceps are firm. We're going to feel the low ribs and abdominal wall taper in and invite those arms to a T. I invite you here to take a breath in and visualize the length of your spinal curves. And then as you exhale, start to rotate and wrap the palm around as if you're sweeping it to the opposite side of the room. Inhale to return back to your open wing position, and exhale to wrap, reaching from underneath the rib cage. And inhale to come all the way back. Exhale to turn and wrap. Inhale. Exhale to turn and wrap. And inhale. As you come back to center, take an exhale, rolling down through the spine. Fingertips are touching down into taut dog, and we're walking it back to down dog. As the palms form, we're looking to lightly lift the toes and direct the heels toward the ground. From here, you have an option to come into a twisted teepee, floating the toes. Here it's important to remember thinking about closing your ribs toward your thighs and letting your head hang heavy. A lot of challenge happens here if you continue to try to look up, as you'll start to arch your body and release the support of the abdominal activation. So let your head hang like that heavy 4 to 6 kilos of weight. Grip a little between thighs and ribs, and then see if you can take opposite hand to outside leg. Begin that sensation of wrapping. Here, as you float the other hand, you might feel that you can reach through your collarbones in opposition. As you release and alternate sides, notice the legs are not moving. I'm really working to match the tension between my outer hand and outer leg, rotating to turn to look over that back thumb. And releasing. As we creep the fingers all the way out to return to teepee, I'm going to invite you now to find a small straddle. Activate the pressure of your sitting bones down and arrive into what I think of as being a starfish sliding down a slippery slide. You should feel that you're in full hip extension. The glutes are active, elevating with the heels as you push down the sit bones. Here, all that's required is a bend in the knees and the toes will touch, and you can then activate the little toe sides of your feet into the inner pillars of the hammock. Engage through the low belly, look through your eyebrows, and rise it up right onto the finger pads. As we soften it down, we're looking to feel again lengthened through the lats and through the triceps. Bring yourself all the way forward and up, and ease it back. The next time we pull forward, we're going to look to lower our right foot to the floor, so make sure those shoulders come right over the wrists, and right foot activates with the abdominals and comes down to the floor. Here on our exhalation, we're aiming to bring the ribs closer to that lower thigh. This is an opportunity on your exhale to direct armpits toward hips. If you feel comfortable, you might take one hand behind the calf. Check that your neck and head is released. Long, smooth exhales will help encourage release through the back of that hamstring. And try to soften the flesh that the belt is pushing into now. Soften those hip flexors. As you reach those hands out once again, invite that right foot to pull back, out and around. And once you feel that the hammock is again on the inside of your ankle, the little toe side of the foot locked, pull with your fingertips, the shoulders over the wrists, and bring that left foot down to the ground. As you exhale, we're looking to close ribs deeper to thigh. Perhaps you invite the support of one hand to the back of the calf. Think here of pushing sitting bone down to the back heel, drawing the front ribs in and up. Long, smooth exhales. Soften into the front of the groin. One more round of breath. And then the fingers reach long. Let the legs stretch back behind you and come to meet both feet down into your teepee. This time, as you come to lower the toes to the ground, take a walk, bringing the feet underneath the pelvis, hip width apart. Walk your hands up the front shins and rest on those thighs. Have that moment to let the blood come out of the head. You'll feel the head is higher than the hips. And then as you rise, sweep the sitting bones under the torso, let the arms roll up and step it back behind your hammock. So from here, as we come to lower the hands to the height of the shoulders, I'm going to work with a little rock backward and forward. And as the hammock rocks forward, catch it with the arch of your foot. I'm going to prepare for a luge, working a little bit more strongly into the opening through the back of the hamstring. Prepare to keep your pelvis squaring toward the ceiling as if you were shining headlights from the hip points. The hands are going to come high, and as I take a back lean, I'm scooping out the abdominals, and I'm going to drive my heel forward and float my other knee up into a stag. If it feels good today and your grip is strong, you might like to open your chest and look back. And then on the next back swing, take your time to land light. Form a heel wrap or a full leg wrap. If you feel that you hyperextend the knee, that's important. And then let yourself enjoy coming deeper into that front split. Fingers are light. Perhaps you propel forward on the ball of your back foot. Back leg is working strongly. Breathing into the back and side ribs. And as you exhale, feeling that you're breathing all the air out. And return, coming all the way back to center. Take a moment to free that foot and set up on the second side, catching your arch strap. I'm going to work with that dynamics of the luge, seeing if you can engage through the tummy. You might think of turning your navel toward the inside of your bent knee to help you align the pelvis. Take a back lean and scoop out the lower abdominals, and then on the count of 3, you can time yourself in. 1, 2, and 3, and lift that back knee, holding into your stag. If it feels good today, open those collarbones, pour the weight back, and time it on your next back swing to look for a light landing. Option to come into heel wrap or full leg wrap, whatever feels supportive. Light fingers, and slowly take it deeper into your front split. Perhaps you rise onto the ball of that back leg. Longer, smoother exhales. Powering into the back leg. One more round of breath. And then easing all the way out, just capturing that heel and setting yourself free. Well done. We're going to come to find ourselves into a back belt entry today. So as we come to bring the hammock across the back belt line, it secures across the top of the glute flesh. It's definitely not under your bum, and it's not up here in the kidneys. So see if you can find that same action now that we practiced in the folded hammock booty pouch to push the little finger forward and toward the windows. We're going to add in a little posterior tilt and give weight to the hammock. From there, I take the toes, 1 step forward, and I'm controlling my entry now into a back belt. From here, fingers are light, abdominals are active, and I might like to bend the elbows if I need more stability. We're going to exhale as we stretch one leg into that single leg reach. Inhale to return. Exhale to stretch. Inhale to return. Notice your thumbs are not holding. The work is in the core, not in the grip. Check your neck is relaxed. There's no tension in the shoulders. Reach it out on your exhale and return on your inhale. If you feel you can, the progression now is to take a double leg reach and return. A double leg reach and return. Last one and return. Find yourself into your saucer, a downward facing arrow, and we're going to keep those legs reaching long as we tip back now. So here we're preparing to come into our star, our falling star. See if you can reach those arms nice and wide. Feel your neck and head has released, and then snap your feet onto the face side. We're going to touch down with the finger pads and feel that the ribs are tapered and there's some tone in our tummy. This movement is in the region underneath my shoulders and above my pelvis. So it's working into this oblique region. There won't be a lot of movement coming from my legs or from my arms. I'm going to try and get this rotation really into the core musculature and feel the work of those obliques. So see if you can imagine your elbows are being pulled on strings to the side walls, and you're really working from the center of your body. When you do this well, it should literally force the exhale out of your lungs. When you're ready, we're going to take that momentum and a quarter turn. So let yourself go with the momentum and quarter turn. You might have got lost, don't worry, just come back to the front if that happened and stay with the first variation. From the quarter turn, you're going to have a lot more torque to be working against. And what's important is that you let yourself feel that you're working into the tension of the hammock and resisting its pull. When you're ready to get to the other side, you can take again at full 180 and start to work into the second side. Squeezing those feet together, reaching length through the elbows. And then bringing it all the way back to center. Taking your fingertips and creeping them toward the front. We're going to look for that full open abdominal wishbone position, and then follow our gaze up, inviting an extension now through the upper back.
Pause here. Allowing with each exhale the collarbones to broaden, the thoracic spine to extend more actively. And then ease back. From here, the hands are coming up toward the sacrum and interlacing as we take a roll of the shoulders and find ourselves into a reverse point. As you exhale, look to curl and squeeze. And as you inhale, open and direct the fingertips to the ceiling. Exhale to curl and squeeze. Inhale and exhale. It's always good to do both interlaces, so see if you can feel your other middle finger come on top. And again, look to open that shoulder girdle. We're going to exhale to squeeze. Inhale to open. Exhale to squeeze. And inhale to open. And then relax the hands toward the sacrum, let the arms soften down. And take a few moments noticing where your arms feel most comfortable. They might be resting in front of your face, or they may have come out toward the sides. Anywhere within your range of vision will allow that natural release of the shoulder girdle. Check the neck is released. When you're ready to come up, we need to remember that in a back belt, there's no support from a pouch. So we're going to take our time with our exhale to reach up for the pillars, unlock the legs, and find our way into plum as slowly as we can. This is a great place to pause and paddle out your feet. Get that blood flow back into the feet and give your body time for the pressure to change. That blood pressure to change. When you feel ready, we simply spider the legs down, one at a time, and rest into the support of the hammock. So I invite you here in your resting moment to rest your forebrow down onto your forearms. Give yourself a little rock from side to side. And when you feel ready, take your time to bring the hands firm and rise it all the way up to stand. So we bring our hands high. Hands descend down in front of the chest. We're going to take one step forward of the plum and descend down into a small down dog. Palms are firm to the floor. You should be able to spy your hammock between your legs as we'll weight into your hands. Lift one leg and bring it into your hammock. We're going to ease it back now to open into that length through the back quad and gradually rocking to increase that length through the front hamstring. So you can make sure the back foot is hooked on securely here and just work as deep as it feels good. For those of you wanting to go deeper into a hold, you might take eyebrow towards shin. As you ease it back, placing that right hand firm, we're inviting a rotation, wrapping that right rib cage around, looking up and over the shoulder. And as you release, returning your hands to the ground. I'd encourage you to take the hands just slightly forward of that front toe so there's less pressure being received into the wrist as our gradient is reduced. And we're going to look to press into the finger pads, engage through the low belly and slide that back leg behind. As you prepare for your single leg lifts, maintain downward tension in the hammock and lift and lower. Lift and lower, squeezing those inner thighs to lift. And this time, see if you can change legs. Bringing that front leg down and bending the back knee to 90 degrees. Again, you might offer that gentle rock back and forward. Keep a gentle engagement between the inner thighs to prevent your pelvis from splaying. And should you be going deeper, you might take eyebrow toward front shin. As you return, finding yourself into rotation, firming that left palm and wrapping the rib cage around, looking all the way up and over the shoulder. And then bringing the hands again, one hand width forward of the front foot. Extend that back leg, engage the low belly and step it back into your plank. Collarbones are nice and broad as we look to lift and lower. lift and lower, and one more time. This time as you bring both feet into your hammock, we're going to invite a croc rock, keeping the body squeezing together, allowing the shoulders to work stabilizing, and let the body move as one piece. As you bring yourself back to still, invite the legs to come down one knee at a time and reach those hands out in front. An opportunity to rest the hairline toward the ground and to mobilize and free the shoulders through internal and external rotation. When you feel ready to rise slowly, we're going to come to bring the hammock in front, reaching up nice and high. Give a little tug to shift your feet off to one side and bring those feet into the parallel position. So you can choose to change your grip positioning through each variation. I'd like to invite you to begin perhaps with your reverse grip today. Start by engaging your sitting bones toward your heels. Feel the glutes and hamstrings engage. I'm going to come to lift up into our tabletop position and add in that little bicep curl if you can. Lower it down to full extension through the elbows and pike the hips back down. To change your grip strength, you might choose this time a basic grip. And again, squeeze on glutes and hamstrings, lift to find your tabletop, add in that elbow bend, extend the arms fully and lower it down. Last variation with the hands is to come into a single wrist wrap, making sure the shoulders, your hands are shoulder width. And again, engaging through the back of the leg line, add that little elbow bend and lower it down. As we come to bring our hands high, once again, we're firming the feet and we'll take a walk all the way to back tension. So you locate the front edge and make sure it's free of any folds. You can snake your hammock from side to side. We're going to take our thumbs to the inside, turn to take our fingers to the outside, gather up 6 handfuls today, and then step yourself back underneath your plumb line. The tension edge of the hammock is close to the body as we rise and lift one leg. I'm going to swoop that hammock all the way under to the back of the knees. As we take a breath in to reach the hands high, we're going to come to form our mitten hand grip and locate the back belt line. A little lean forward will help you follow the line of the lumbar spine, and we lock it in by pushing the pressure from the little finger side of the hand, rolling down sequentially as you reach those hands tall. I'm going to scoot out one heel to get the hammock to the back of the ankles, and here we're looking to engage into the center. Gripping pubis toward navel, pushing sitting bones up and thigh bones down. See if you can reach your fingers toward the windows. We want to feel that engagement into the core, breathing into the back and side ribs, and as you exhale, really enhancing that connection of rib cage to pelvis. It's this strength in the abdominals that we want to maintain as we come into a back bend today. So keeping those abs on, slowly descend down, using your fingers on that front edge of the hammock. And your aim here is to lower just to that place where you can still hold and facilitate with that retraction of your shoulder blades a deeper extension into your upper back. When we return, we want to tuck chin to chest, engage the tummy, and slide those fingers up to come all the way up to sitting tall. Feel free to free those fingers. Make sure they're comfortable. That may have been enough for you in your low back, so feel free to repeat that exercise again. Alternatively, there'll be another progression on from that diving swan into bell if you would like to continue. So again, finding your core is essential. We only want to go as deep into our back bends as we are actively able to bring ourselves out. So take your time again to descend those fingers down, and this time, if it feels possible for you, you might use one foot to scoot the hammock to the back of the knees. Push the toes down, engage the glutes, and perhaps you sweep the hands behind. You might grab a hold of the tops of the feet, kicking actively the feet into the hands for that full expansion across the front body. When we exit, again, we're going to actively power through the legs, engage the tummy muscles, slide the hands up, and you might find a moment to rest here into your floating child. I invite you to take a breath in now as we balance out to that extension of the spine. You can separate the inner thighs to create more stability in your hips, like you're sitting on a little chair. Push down into your right sit bone and turn toward the right.
Perhaps you rotate that back thumb and go deeper by slipping the hands in behind the kidneys, and use that little bit of facilitation now of front hand pushing against outer knee and back elbow pulling behind you. Release slowly, rising up on your inhale, and travel it all the way over to the other side, crossing opposite hand to outside knee, rotating and bringing those fingertips under. See if you can look over that back shoulder. And then release. Returning all the way back to center. This time we're going to find those wings out nice and wide. Take a thin edge and find a little W. And as you make the hammock across the back of the shirt line, give a little shawl and roll down. We want to check with a kiss test, which is broadening the shoulders and checking that the shoulder wrap is still in contact, that we have those shoulders covered. And from here now we're going to be practicing our plow dips. The backs of the hands come to the inside walls, and I'm going to direct the toes, squeezing the inner leg line up and over, looking for the floor. You only need to go as low as you know you can come back up. So just choose how far you go. It's common that the hammock will shift, so just be prepared that it may not be there as you come back toward sitting into that pouch. You might need to feel for the hammock with one hand. I invite you to take one more rep, really using that core and abdominal strength to come down and all the way back up. And then take a moment to pause there. As we progress into our flying shoulder stand, the hands are still in their sleeves in this grip where the backs of the hands are on the inside, thumbs are on the outside. This time I might use the feet as a tension assist to make sure I can get those hips over my head. Here I'm still rounded with my spine in a bat position, so I need to first create extended bat where I open my chest and check the neck is free before I want to do anything more with extending the legs. Once I'm there and my shoulders are taking the stability, I'm going to find the inner pillars and drive my legs up to vertical, checking that that neck is free. If you want to play with your balance, make sure that your arms are not working with the biceps. The hands are just here lightly, they're not gripping. The emphasis is in stability in the shoulders. So you might bring one foot to center line, you might bring the other foot, perhaps you bring them together. Be aware that if your balance is lost, your feet will come down to the floor or you might drop back into your hammock. So when you're ready to descend down, soften those knees, feel for the hammock behind you, and give yourself that opportunity to rest the neck and head into a floating child. Our next posture is going to add in a new complexity, and this is a posture that we really celebrate as one of those integrative movement postures in anti-gravity, and it's called the vampire. So you may have done this one before. I'd like to take you through the stages that we've built into those progressions and show you how they all link together. I'm going to begin by taking my hands high and out to an angel wing. This is a thin edge that comes across the back of my shirt line, and again I wrap and roll down. Once I've done my kiss test and I can sense that I've got enough breadth and coverage, I'm going to make sure now I can grab the bottom edge with my hands. I clamp my calf and thighs together so I can bring that edge to me, and I want to slip my feet inside like coming into a sleeping bag. Most of you will have enough coverage up to your thighs. If you're very tall, it might be just hovering around your mid-shin. So I want to remember that feeling of coming through plow as I bring the backs of the hands to the inside and I direct the toes overhead. Then I'm going to pause in this moment in time and just make sure that I can identify where this slack exists in front of me. That's where I want to now bend and put my pressure into the tops of my feet so my core remains engaged. The next position now is transitioning from that bat shape of flexion into that extended bat shape where I feel that now I have really opened my chest. Here I'm going to open my wings and press outward. Pressing through the backs of the wrists is key, and as I keep tension down into the top of the feet, the knees light, you have the opportunity to now come into a plank. So as I let the toes stretch forward, I'm going to plank it out in front. You can make little adjustments to try and find the correct level of tension there. If you want to go deeper, you might extend through your upper back and perhaps you descend deeper through the spine, and then you can curl your way all the way in and up.
If you'd like to repeat and take a few repetitions in and out, that's a really nice mobilization for your spine. So again, you come over into mosquito, find your weight into the tops of the feet, extended back through the spinal position as you find your gargoyle. Remember to put your wings on before you fly. We want to never feel the palm making contact with the hammock, only the back of the hand. And then starting to open out into a plank, that opportunity to extend through the upper back. Perhaps you descend deeper into a full spinal extension and then curl it in, tucking nose toward belly. You might like to repeat several times, pausing for that moment in plank, extending actively through upper back, and then perhaps sinking deeper and releasing it all the way through whenever you're ready. As we come to stretch out the legs, take again that moment in floating child. As we come to rest the body, you might like to take your wings up nice and high now. Softly arrive into your hammock and see if you can pull a little bit of extra hammock up overhead as you kick your heels out. We want to invite now just some freedom of motion for the spine, easing off those extensions and back bends. A little side bend and sway from side to side in time with your breathing can be really comforting here. So just find what feels good for you. I invite you to continue that now for a few moments, gradually arriving when you're ready to still. As you find yourself to still in your cocoon today, you might choose to let your arms drape overhead or lightly cross them over your chest. You might take the legs into a diamond or keep them outstretched. But this is now that time to wind down, to calm the body, to calm the breathing. So you might begin with sensing tension from the face softening. Perhaps you moisten the lips with your tongue and take a swallow and allow for the mouth and throat to relax. Notice the breath leave the body in a long, smooth exhale. Notice the breath enter effortless as it fills again the lungs. With each exhale, invite that opportunity to let go of anything heavy, any unnecessary protection that's no longer needed. Invite yourself to become lighter in body and mind. And when you feel ready to arise, you might begin by gently swaying your body again from side to side, and then taking time to scoot those legs out of the hammock. Reaching up for the pillars, you can pull yourself gently up to sitting. And when you feel ready, cycling your legs out of the hammock and meeting me here in mountain grounding, the feet pelvic width and stabilized underneath your body. As we allow the shoulder blades to rise, the upper arms, forearms, wrists and fingers, we're allowing the weight of the seat to descend nice and heavy. And then as you relax the arms down, just remember that sense of space and length and grace in your spine. Feel comfortable taking up the space that's allocated for you. And I'd like to close by offering clarity of consciousness, clarity of communication, and clarity of emotion. And an opportunity to give a gesture of gratitude with reverence to life, with respect for the abundance in which we all share. And coming all the way up to rise.
So I wish you a wonderful day, fly free into your day ahead, and thank you for joining me in exploring the air today.